Okay, sounds good.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Morning Locker. Today I have with me Mr. Kellen Pembleton. He is an actor, a filmmaker, a horror enthusiast, and the host of Kellen's Petty Talk Show. And he's currently based out of Los Angeles, California, but he was also raised in Buffalo, New York, like myself. So, Kellen, thank you so much for coming on, man. Got the Bills hat.
Nice to see you. It's been probably like 6 years since we've seen each other.
It's been a very long time, but since I've last seen you, you've changed immensely. You've done a lot. You've obviously moved away from your family in Buffalo, New York, and started this new career path. So, what sparked your interest in actually going into acting and filmmaking?
That's actually been a lifelong passion of mine. Ever since I was young, that was the first thing I've always wanted to do. So basically, I was in a play in 2002 in kindergarten, and it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and I got to play an Oompa Loompa, and basically that was like the very first acting thing I sort of did. I mean, I probably did stuff in like preschool too, but yeah, like the first thing that I was like, oh, I love this, and I want to do that.
So what specifically kind of caught your attention about filmmaking in particular?
Just the fact that you could make a living off just having fun, and just, your creativity can just expand, and, and you could basically just show everybody what you're capable of, and to tell a story and to entertain others. Basically.
And what was that first project like that you actually did? Because I remember back in, it might have been high school or maybe right after high school, I remember you were working on a few different projects and promoting some films. What were those early projects like for you?
Well, I started making films with my friends in 2011, and that first one I did was called Hector, and that never came out. And it was like this like vampire horror film that we did that my friend Jordan, or it was actually my other friend's friend that I never met, Jordan Warner, made. And I guess he lost all the footage from it.
Oh, man.
That never came out, but that was a lot of fun. But yeah, that happened. And then starting in 2012, I started making my own films and directing short films, and we started putting them in festivals and stuff. None of them were really that great, but it was just kind of like a fun thing we did with no budget.
Yeah.
And we got a bunch of people from the Buffalo film community together to just make some crappy films, and we had fun.
Well, I think the appeal for a lot of people is just that you can do so much with so little when it comes to horror.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that influenced you as far as films and projects that you thought, oh, you know what, I think I can do something that mirrors this,
Halloween, for sure. The original Halloween, because not only was that a great horror movie, but they made it on a very low budget, and it was very innovative. I'm pretty sure they're like one of the very first films that used the, what's that called? Like the deadpan.
Yeah.
The word for it. The slow, I can't even think of the word, but like where they're following with the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
That was like one of
the super long shots. Yeah. I remember that, the opening scene.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a very inspiring film for me. I used to rent that from like the local library all the time until I ended up buying it. Now I have it on like VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, digital. I have the poster actually signed by everybody that worked on Halloween except for 3. So I got to get like Jamie Lee Curtis, just like one of them, and then I'll be complete.
Well, you're anyone who wants to take a look at your Instagram, I think will notice right away that it's filled with all sorts of horror iconography, and that this is something that you're really passionate about. And I know you've been to, like, for instance, the Halloween house and like all these different places that are kind of like hallowed ground for you. So is there one out of all these that you've been to that really stands out to you that you were like, man, this just this makes my day, this makes my whole year?
For visiting a filming location?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've done so many. We just did a bunch. We actually just went back to Salt Lake City. We did more of the Halloween 4 and 5 ones. But the original Myers house is kind of hard to beat. That and the Elm Street house, which you could see on Genesee Ave right off of Sunset. Those are some big ones.
Awesome.
A lot of the Child's Play stuff too that I went to see in like Chicago, because to be honest, the Chucky movies were actually a big influence on me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another early one.
And
story about that. when I was like really young, we went to Blockbuster and my parents accidentally rented me Bride of Chucky. And I think that was one of the first horror movies that got me into it. And they thought it was just some like doll movie, and no.
I mean, yeah, I could see how they would get that confused, but I mean, what were some of those other horror influences? Like after, your parents mistakenly rented you, The Bride of Chucky, what were some of the other things that you were like trying to seek out, trying to go after?
Just for horror, I don't know. It's just like the video stores. You'd walk in there and you just would see something. You'd be like, holy shit, I got to check that out.
That was the thing, is like you probably remember, having to go to Blockbuster on like a Friday night and pick out movies for the week,
Absolutely. I'd go there on Tuesday nights too, because my parents were divorced and my dad would always pick me up on like Tuesdays. So it'd be like Tuesday and the weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you pivot to acting? Because I know you started out making these low budget films with your friends, but how did you make that shift to, eventually wanting to move out west?
Well, it was just working in the Buffalo film community while I was going to school. So basically, we'd be making films together, and then eventually, there'd be projects that needed people to act in, and I would, lend my services, I guess. But there weren't that many opportunities to act in Buffalo, like, because everybody kind of knows each other, and, it was more about knowing somebody to get something.
Right.
And once I moved out here, it's like you could actually audition full time and really put your efforts towards it. So basically, here, let me turn this AC off.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So basically, I first moved out here in August 2015, and I was starting to go to school at Santa Monica College for film and acting classes.
Yeah.
And that was my sophomore year of college, obviously. But yeah, that lasted a semester, and then I just decided ultimately to come home because it was just too much money, and I was having like a really bad roommate situation. Yeah. So I came back home and finished college. And in the summer of 2017, I drove back out here just to try to get my SAG card. And I figured if I gave myself the whole summer to work on sets as like an extra or something, or, just to seek out somebody that was doing this thing called a SAG New Media project.
Yeah.
Where if you have like one line of dialogue, you basically automatically become SAG. Mm-hmm. So I gave myself this whole summer. I drove almost 3,000 miles back here just to give myself the summer to try to make that happen. And I made it happen within like the first month.
That's amazing.
So I finally got eligible for, joining the union. And then it took like 8 months to actually receive my card. And I actually received it the same month I graduated college. And then that was May 2018. And then in June was when I permanently moved out here. So
that's awesome.
I've been here steadily since then, and been working with agencies ever since too.
That's incredible. I mean, I always see you kind of updating on social media about the different projects that you're going out for and stuff. And it's really just good to see that you did invest that time over that summer, that you made that decision, because obviously it really paid off. But I mean, what was it like for you having to move away from everyone that you'd known and kind of commit to that whole career? What if it doesn't pan out?
Well, at 19 in 2015, it was a lot harder. Like, I feel like that first time you move away from home, it's got to be the hardest. I remember saying goodbye to my mom, and she was literally crying like so hard, and just rolling out of the driveway knowing that like I'm leaving my home, I'm leaving my friends, my family. Like it was really hard that time. And then obviously coming back, and the summer of 2017 was kind of fun to just get the hell out of there and know that I was coming back anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I guess with time you just get used to it. At first, at a young age, it's not easy, but if you're out here for the right reasons, it's worth it in the long run.
Absolutely. And I know that this move was difficult for you, just like you were saying, but what are some of the earlier projects that you got to work on when you first came out?
Came out here?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have like too many like great roles right off the bat. I just kind of like worked as like a PA and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was on sets of like CSI Cyber and stuff. a couple like low budget horror movies. I did. I was on set with Jake and Logan Paul on two different sets when they first moved out here that year too. So they were kind of like the fresh faced like Vine stars at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to work on set with both of them, and they were total assholes. It was so funny. But yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, like I said, I was only here for probably 4 or 5 months at that point.
Yeah.
And then I came back home and continued to work on Buffalo projects. And the last big film that I directed was this film called Condemned with You All, which is obviously named after the Every Time I Die lyric.
Yep.
And that was 2016. And that was the last film I put in festivals and stuff.
I have to let you know, I watched that movie just for the title alone.
Oh, check it out.
Yeah. I watched it for the title alone. I was like, I'm pretty sure Kellen named this after the Every Time I Die lyric.
Yeah, we made that for literally no money. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you watch it, but yeah, nobody got paid. We just kind of like screwed around, and it was fun, but it was crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, bringing up music and, Every Time I Die and all this, what role has music played in your ability to, go out and get roles and audition? How has it helped you?
Everything. I mean, punk and hardcore changed my life. I mean, I started going to shows by myself when I was probably 11.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. First I would probably make my parents bring me to all of them. And yeah, throughout the 2000s, I went to concerts with my parents like crazy. And then, yeah, when I was like 11, I think my dad dropped me off at an All Time Low concert at Town Ballroom. And then ever since, I just constantly would go by myself or with friends. And yeah, they weren't too worried about it.
That's awesome. Because I feel like most kids wouldn't have parents that would just be like, you know what, it's good. Yeah. We'll pick you up when you're done, But
yeah, just like the whole message of punk and hardcore, like the positive mental attitude and just the whole, everything behind it just kind of like puts you in that mindset, and it makes you grow up to be that person. So I don't know. I just always loved going to shows, and I loved the message behind the music.
Yeah. And, I hear you saying that the music was a very positive influence for you. And I know you had to take a lot of, maybe smaller, less significant roles when you first came out, but that's what everybody has to do, I assume. And, exactly. But how did you cope with, going to auditions and, maybe getting rejected or not getting that role that you wanted? Because I assume that's a large portion of being in that career field.
Well, basically what happened with me is, I think back in this past December, I had my first audition with this agency that I was with, Sovereign, and I'm with a different agency right now because they're on hiatus, but because of COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in like December, I want to say I auditioned for that show Blackish with Anthony Anderson.
Yeah.
And it was for a scene to actually work with him and his wife in the show. And I've never actually seen the show, so I don't know too much about it, but I was supposed to play like their waiter or something.
Oh, really?
That was what I was auditioning for. And I go in, and there were like 6 other people dressed as waiters, and it was just like, shit, well, I'm not going to get that. So I wasn't really too I wasn't too worried about that. And it was my first audition, with them. So of course I didn't get that. But then my very second audition was to play this pastor named Rick Warren. He was a real pastor from Texas that moved out to like Orange County to start a church. And basically I got that role, and that was a lead role. And
oh, that's awesome.
It was crazy. That was the first like bigger thing that I really did. And that was back in January, right before this pandemic kind of blew up.
Man. I mean, yeah. Good on you for sticking with it, because I mean, obviously it's paying off. And, but I'd like to know who was there a person in your life, either family or maybe someone you met out in LA who was encouraging you, hey, you can do this, don't stop? Or was it just sheer willpower and self-motivation that got you to continue down this path?
I'd say that, honestly. I'd say sheer willpower, because, a lot of your family and friends don't really believe you at first. They kind of think you're just doing this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And even like my really close family members are kind of just coming around to it.
Yeah.
And, I love that though, because I'd rather earn their trust than have them always think I was like this special person.
Absolutely.
And I still have a long way to go. I'm like trying to, break out still. So,
yeah. Yeah. You've got a very bright career in front of you, but I mean, if you can, if you can just stay on that path and push yourself forward when everyone else is telling you no, I think that that's a very powerful thing to be able to do, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And how did you adapt to, I know you said you had to switch agencies during COVID, but how else have you had to adapt with the ongoing situation?
With acting or just with just everything?
With everything, with acting, I mean, how has it impacted your daily
Well,
life?
with acting, I mean, I was getting some self tapes for a couple months, and then over the summer I got a couple, but I haven't done any auditions for the past like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Like 2 months. So they're saying it's gonna come around again soon, but it kind of sucks to like not be doing anything because I
Yeah.
just like constantly working and getting better. But yeah, the pandemic's crazy. People act insane. I just watched that South Park episode that they just released. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I did too.
Did you watch it?
I watched it.
Oh, it's amazing. I just finished it this morning.
Yeah, I
Oh,
watched it last night, and I think they knocked it out of the park like they always do, you know?
they nailed it.
They really did.
They really did. Dude, I had so many crazy things happen during this pandemic. So basically, well, first of all, people act nuts. You go to the grocery store have you waited outside in a line, like outside of a grocery store before entering?
Yep. Yeah, people, dude, you get dagger eyes.
Yeah, literally. Like I swear to God, there were several moments where people would be like, keep your distance, 6 feet. And I'm like literally on the sticker that's, it's saying to stand up. And I'd be like 8 feet from somebody and they'd still turn around and give me shit for it. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? And yeah, the whole mask wearing thing. I didn't really wear a mask at first when people started doing it because I didn't think it was going to be like a mandatory thing.
Yeah.
I think everything kind of caught everybody by surprise.
It definitely did. It moved fast.
It did. It just was like, so this is your life now, basically.
And you're in LA too, which I mean, I'm up in Northern California and it's,
San Jose?
Yeah, San Jose is a little, I would say people are still a little crazy, but I would imagine LA's different just with the number of people and how, I can't imagine what that would be like having to deal with the crazy people.
So speaking of crazy,
yeah.
Have you ever gotten in a car chase?
No.
Chase you in a car?
I've had people follow me, not chase me.
So basically, neither have I until a couple months ago. Not even. This is probably in the last month and a half, I think. I think both of these instances. Yeah. So basically, 2 times in 1 week, I think in August, I got chased by 2 different people. So the first time I'm with a friend. We're out in Malibu, just kind of driving. And then you get to this one part along the beach where everybody was like stalled just because it gets conglomerated over there. And basically, this random guy comes up to my door and just starts punching the windows of my car, literally. But he wasn't even after me. He was after my friend that was in the passenger seat.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. Remember the crazy guy from American Idol, Vocals?
Yeah.
Yes, he was in the passenger seat. This like Mexican dude comes over, total skinhead, had like the tattoos and everything, and you could tell he was definitely straight out of prison. Comes over and starts punching the windows, and he was like speaking Mexican, so we couldn't even tell what he was after. But yeah, he just kept punching the windows and then kicking the back of my car, and then we got out of there because I kind of illegally went through the other lane to get out of there. What the fuck am I gonna do? I had a baseball bat in the car, but I'm not gonna start swinging at some.
Yeah, you're gonna get sued.
So we got out of there real quick, and then basically, I'm literally probably like half a mile past that point, and I was like, "There's no way this guy's gonna be behind me because he was in a big truck. There's no way he would have gotten around all those people."
Yeah.
I get out of my car at that point and stop the car, get out, and I check for damages, obviously. And then immediately I like literally turn around to the guy's already right there in his truck chasing after us. I jump back in my car. We're flying around this neighborhood, like trying to get away from him. And he's like in this truck. I thought this guy would have had a gun or something. So I was freaking out, and I'm telling, Ethan to call the police. And then basically, we're on the phone with the cops running around this neighborhood, and they're just like, they're kind of telling us to like stay in a particular area. I'm just like, do you realize how narrow these streets are.
Yeah.
We're in a Honda Civic. This guy's in what, like a Dodge, whatever you call those, like big
I'm
trucks.
surprised he can even get down there.
Yeah, it's insane. So basically, if he found us on one of these streets that we got like in a dead end of, we would have been screwed. I mean, he could have killed us. So basically, yeah, I got to this one part where it was like a 3-way stop, and I got there right before this other person came, and I was able to get past there, have them come behind me, and then at that point I was able to swing around a turn and get away from him in the neighborhood.
Man, but
that
there was no like, your friend didn't piss this dude off. It was just like he came up to the window.
we were literally driving through Malibu, and this guy just went nuts. He must have just like mistaken him for somebody else.
Yeah, well, that's California for you, you know. That's what happens.
But then, yeah, not even probably a week later, Ethan. It's kind of funny. Ethan was with me the second time too, and this time was kind of like my fault, but not really, because this other guy, we're kind of driving from Hollywood to Burbank, and this guy cuts me off on like that one highway where, you know, like it goes from like 2 lanes to 1 really quickly.
Yeah.
And it had already done that. And this guy still came next to me at like 100 miles an hour and almost sideswiped the shit out of me.
Man.
And so basically I didn't even like do this on purpose. I would like reacted and I just beeped, you know, I was like,
yeah, of course. Yeah. Like any normal person.
It was like a defensive beep, you know? And the guy basically just like hits his brakes, you know, stalls in the middle of this fucking highway. And we're sitting there for like a good 10 seconds before he starts moving again. And then he just drives slowly. And then at one point we get over to Warner Brothers, which is like the start of that Burbank area. And he kept doing that for like the 2 miles it took to get there. And then he goes to make a right somewhere. And just because I was so fed up with these kind of people at this point, right as he was going right as he started turning right, I went, I knew that was gonna piss him off, so I did it. But then I didn't realize he for some reason he had one of those cars, those like tiny dick syndrome cars.
Oh,
He's got it all decked out to like have like the turbo engine and everything. So after beeping, he somehow made it back to me in like 10 seconds. He went around all these buildings and just came right back to me, cut me off, put his car like diagonally in front of me, and then jumped out. He jumped out of his car. This time it was like a fat white dude, and he like all he did was chuck his like 7-Eleven cup at me and totally missed. But that was it.
I don't think people maybe on the West Coast necessarily, like on the West Coast, people pull over, they'll get out of your car and yell at you and threaten to fight you. But out here is like the first time that I ever had somebody cut me off in traffic and flip me off. And I was like, what is this? This is like
It
a new
no sense. People don't know how to act out here, and they definitely don't know how to drive. It's kind of weird though. I almost feel like more comfortable with the people that do drive crazy. Like the people that drive really fast almost like seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird thing, but I don't know.
And going back to what you want to do as far as your career in acting and filmmaking, do you have a dream project that you would want to either create or be a part of?
Man, just something original, really. I mean, I love originality. I can't stand this shit that's just being recycled.
So do you want to be as involved as possible in the process? Do you want to be like the guy who's, you know, writing, directing, and basically has full creative control of a project? Or would you rather see somebody else's vision and say, hey, you know, I want to be a part of that?
Definitely both, because I have a creative side to me. Like I still write screenplays and stuff that I would like to get made one day. But yeah, as long as the vision on the other person's like really good, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not like too picky with it either. I mean, I played like a pastor. Do you even picture me doing that?
Yeah. I can see that, you know. But
you got to see a picture from that. Did you see the picture that I look like Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah, I actually did see that. Was that for a role?
That was for the pastor thing.
Oh, that was for the pastor thing. Okay.
I'm like, yeah, dude, I was walking around the set creeping everybody out. I'm like, I don't even mean to do that. Like they made me this way.
And what is the most difficult part for you as far as auditioning? How do you prepare when you go in?
Well, it's so different because like if you're doing a self-tape, it's kind of just, you know, you fuck up and you can just redo it.
Yeah.
Redo it. And it's so weird to say this, but I almost do prefer to do it in person because I feel like you prepare better, and it's going to be like a make it or break it moment. And that's how I really killed it for that second audition with the pastor role. But yeah, I don't know. I just do my best to memorize the lines. I got this like app that I use.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called, but I got a new phone, so I kind of lost the app. But yeah, I do that to like memorize lines, and I'll make flashcards probably, and I'll run them with other people and my acting coach and stuff. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
just plan and prepare like crazy and hope
So,
for the best.
so you do prefer in person as opposed to being able to kind of retake multiple.
At first, no. I mean, at first you're like, screw that. Like, I don't want to, it's one of the scariest things to do that, especially when it's in front of like several people sitting at a table, like, judging you. It's kind of like, but,
I could see how that would be pretty intimidating, but also how it might fuel you to a certain degree,
yeah.
hey, I've got this one shot. That's it. Let's do it.
Yeah, actually, I did a lot of auditions in Buffalo like that too, that were just awkward like that. And actually, one time I auditioned for Fright World. I don't know if you remember Fright World.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and this was, I don't even know how many years ago this was, probably 2014. And the audition for that, I walk in and there's like this table of 5 people, and they were all like the different managers of like the different houses, I think. And then there was like the main manager. And basically, I come in there and they're basically like, pretend your hand is eating your face. That was my audition. Like, you don't know what you're walking into, and that's what they told me to do. They're like, pretend your hand is eating your face. So I went completely apeshit, started jumping off the walls and like, holding my hand down like it's Evil Dead 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I got it. I mean, it was cool.
That just prepared you, gave you some good experience.
Oh yeah,
And
no, it was fun.
What steps have you talked about a little bit, memorization, you've got some apps that help you out. But
My acting coach too. Yeah.
Your acting coach, absolutely. But how do you make sure that you're constantly improving? Is it just a matter of, talking to your coach and making sure that he's giving you feedback, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, she helps me with a lot of like memorization and just like different techniques to just kind of keep it instilled in your memory, before you go in. Yeah, you got to do a lot of practice on your own too. You can't just rely on like a coach.
Yeah.
If you're working on something particular, you got to like read into the backstory of everything and kind of just get in that mindset of that character and stuff. So I try my best with that. But yeah, I think it's just time and just persistence and constantly improving just from that.
That's awesome. You have come a long way since your Fright World days of auditioning, and you've got a lot more to do, but I want to take a little bit more of a fun direction now, and ask you, what are 3, and this can be living or dead, can be any time period, but 3 of your all-time favorite musicians or bands.
That are living?
Dead or living. Doesn't matter.
Oh, all-time favorite musicians or bands. All right. Blink-182, obviously. My Chemical Romance, honestly, too, because Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge is like my favorite album.
How can you not,
That's just perfect. I mean, that's like the first album. I remember in like 2004 or 5, I think it was 2005, went to Target to get that because my aunt wouldn't get it me for Christmas because it had the parental advisory sticker on it.
Yeah.
So I had to go get it with like my dad. then we bought Black Parade like the very next year at Target too. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, so honestly, the record of which one was it? I think it was the Black Parade. That was their first concept album, wasn't it?
It's hard to say, I guess. I think Three Cheers was sort of like concept-y, but yeah, I think Black Parade was the first big concept one.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
That was for sure. That was my jam when that came out. And then what is your pick for the most, you've seen a lot of films now, but what do you think is an underrated movie that everyone else should see that maybe isn't as mainstream as it should be?
From recent or just ever?
It can be anything. Just a movie that you think, really stuck with you, that you think is much more impactful than critics think it is.
Then so it's one that like got rotten reviews, maybe.
Yeah, maybe got rotten reviews, maybe just, or maybe it did get good reviews and nobody saw it,
That happens a lot. That's why I don't really look at Rotten Tomatoes anymore, because you'll see something that's rotten and then you'll go see it and you'll be like, the fuck? Like it's still a popcorn flick, it's still fun to watch. Damn, I don't know. Actually, I just went to see Hocus Pocus on the big screen for the first time last night. And that's like top 5, top 10 favorite movies for me. And I never knew this until like the last year, but that's a rotten movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm sure it is. I mean, wasn't it originally released on like Nickelodeon or something like that?
Well, it was Disney, yeah.
Or Disney, yeah.
From 93, but yeah, it's got like a 46 or something. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is a perfect movie. It's a perfect Halloween movie. Like, I don't understand. What's wrong with it?
Well, it's because it's made for,
I guess.
I guess it's made for kids, but, critics are weird sometimes.
It still holds up so well. But, God, of recent memory, it's hard to think. Damn. I'd have to think of that. Let's see.
If you don't have another one, then I'm gonna go into our little test here for you, okay? Because I believe you are the horror master. You've got you've seen a lot of films, your stuff. So I'm going to give you 3 keywords for a movie.
Okay.
You're gonna try and guess what the movie is, okay?
Keywords.
So
okay.
I'm gonna give you 3 keywords. I'll give you one at a time. We'll see if you can guess it off of one, But if you get all 3, then that's cool too. And then bonus points if you can give me the year the film was made, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So, first one, extraterrestrial, infested spacecraft, chest burster.
Alien?
Yep. You got it. 1979. Perfect.
I just watched Alien the other day. No joke. I literally watched it like 5 days ago.
See, you're prepared. You did your research.
I didn't I don't know if I might have watched it right before we even talked about doing this. It's so funny.
And then
classic.
Next one, I've got Mom, Shower Slayer.
Psycho?
Yep, you got it. I know you would. You know what year?
Was it 1960?
1960. Perfect.
Yeah.
Man.
I just actually, now we're talking about Psycho. I literally just bought Psycho 3 yesterday.
Oh, really?
It was on eBay. I have all the Scream Factory. I don't know if you know about Scream Factory.
No.
It's like this one company that releases all like those collector edition Blu-rays. And
yeah.
They have really cool slip covers. So basically, Psycho 3 has been going for like $50 on eBay, and I got it for $24.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, I got to add this. Still got to get Psycho 4, though.
And for the next one, I've got, there's a little bit of wordplay here, but Trap House, Self-Sacrifice, Let's Play a Game.
Oh, Saw.
Yep. Do you know what year?
2004.
Yep.
Leigh Whannell and James Wan,
Not even hard. Not even
Not bad.
I tried for you, man. I tried.
You're doing good. First, I was like, wait a second, Trap House. What is going on?
That's why I put it in there. I thought it might confuse you a little bit.
It did at first. I was like, what's going on? It's a rap movie?
All right. And then next one, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So do you know what year The Exorcist was released?
1973.
Oh, my God. It's not even hard. And then, all right. Samara, you should know.
Say that again?
Samara, I think that's how you say her name. Or Samara.
Oh, Samira from The Ring?
Yep.
2004?
Mm?
Oh, no, 2002. 2002. Yeah. Sorry. I think 2004 was the sequel. Or no, that was 2005, I think.
Oh.
I remember seeing the sequel at like that old Galleria theater.
Yeah.
Walden Galleria. Remember that one that was in the food court?
Dude, that's like the last time I went home, I think they tore all that down, didn't they?
Well, I'm talking about the old one, the one that was
the
like
old one.
at the like literally a part of the food court.
Yeah.
That closed probably like 15 years ago almost.
No, that's a long time ago since
Yeah.
they've had that. Like
They
really
had the
long
new
time.
one. The new one opened in 2008, and the first movie I saw there was The Strangers. That's why I know that.
That's actually pretty. Speaking of underrated films, I think The Strangers is pretty underrated.
It's amazing. I love that one so much.
It's only got like 50 or 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, which again shows that critics don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and the sequel sucked.
And they liked that one more. I think the second one actually got higher reviews than the first one, didn't it?
Are you kidding me? That would make no sense.
I could be wrong, but I thought I remember when it came out, people saying that it was better than the first.
Dude, that second one, there's that scene with the guy with the potato sack or whatever that's on his head. He walks in, goes into the guy's car and just stares at him for like a solid minute. Like, is this scary anymore? Because it's becoming kind of funny.
Yeah. And then, I think this one you should have no problem with. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
1974.
Yep.
I just watched that the other day too. I've been watching all of those.
But see, it's not fair because you're constantly doing research. So it's like.
I just love these movies so much.
And all right, so 2 more, and both of these I think you're gonna have no problem. So, Evil Dead.
Evil Dead was 84.
A little earlier.
81.
It was 81.
Yeah, it was 81.
Yep.
84 was Evil Dead 2. 84 maybe.
And then the last one, I'll give you the hints again for this one. Haunted Hotel, Possession.
The Shining.
Yep.
1980.
Last one was going to be, I was going to say Maze, but you would have gotten that instantly. The Shining, 1980. You are correct, sir. Yes. All right. I tried. I thought maybe I could confuse you on a couple of them, but didn't turn out.
One off the top of your head right now. Let's see. Do one off the top of your head.
Do one off the top of my head? Let's see.
This is fun. I love doing this.
I'm trying to think of one that you wouldn't necessarily have seen, but anything that I've seen, you've probably seen already. That's the problem. Yeah. What about?
You see The Lodge, by the way? The Lodge that came out like last year.
Amazing movie. Amazing movie.
That's one of the ones I would say is super underrated. And everybody I knew from Buffalo fucking hated it.
Really?
Like, why? Like they literally were like, this movie's not scary at all. This movie's got nothing to it. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's literally it's about mental illness. Like, and everything about it is scary. Like, I don't understand. Those are the movies that get to me a lot more than, a serial killer. Like that shit's not even. Yeah. That's laughable to me.
I mean, it's fun to watch, like I'll watch Friday the 13th or whatever. It's just that I don't think it has the same impact, personally, like after the film, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The only 2 movies that really like still to this day kind of bother me when I watch them is Pet Sematary and Carrie.
Yeah, dude, the original Pet Sematary was terrifying. I think I watched that. I was like down in my parents' basement, flipping through the channels, and I came across that movie, and I came across it right at the end where the little boy like kills everybody, and it terrified me. Like I could not sleep.
No, I saw that for the first time. I was in 5th grade, I think. Literally 5th grade, because I remember talking about it with like some of my instructors or whatever at Middle School. And I remember the one teacher, Miss Budniak or whatever, she tried to get me to believe that my math teacher, Miss Benetovich, was Zelda in the movie. Literally. And my math teacher was like super old, so I believed it. I was like, fuck, what? He's like, yeah, she was Zelda. So that freaked me out.
Well, I mean, that's not fair. Is now teachers can say that stuff and they would get in trouble, or somebody would correct them. But back then, teachers could just mess with you all day long.
Actually, that guy that plays the baby, I talk to him every once in a while. Miko.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we keep in touch. I've met him a couple times, but yeah, he's cool.
That's awesome.
I was trying to get him for my podcast, but haven't done that yet.
Yeah, and actually, so speaking of your podcast, because I want to end talking about how this has come about and what really inspired you to do this. So obviously your podcast, Kellen's Petty Talk Show, was that something that you came up with yourself, or was it something that somebody else kind of, pushed you or inspired you to do?
Well, I obviously, like, everybody loves podcasts nowadays. So basically, I've been just listening and watching them like crazy. Obviously, Joe Rogan's game changing. But it was kind of funny. Right when the virus kind of blew up was when I went to Guitar Center, and I was like, I'm gonna look at some of this podcast equipment, and if I like any of it, I might put at least one piece on a credit card.
Yeah.
I ended up leaving with fucking the whole soundboard, four pairs of headphones, both mics, the whole setup. I literally financed all of it, and I paid. I'm almost paid in full basically, and it was insanely a lot of money. But yeah, right then in March, and then we started the podcast in April.
That's awesome. And you've had some really, awesome guests. I haven't listened to every single episode, but I try to listen when I can, just because you do get such a different perspective on the industry, because a lot of times you're talking to people that, who's going to interview someone about a movie 10, 20, 30 years later, and you're able to do that.
Yeah. No, I really actually like getting the really lesser known people. And actually, I haven't told anybody this yet, but we're actually looking at trying to get some of the old Goosebumps stars.
Yeah.
Like from the old, TV show and stuff. So that's one of the next things I'm trying to do. And we might have the one guy from People Under the Stairs, the Wes Craven movie. So working on that. But yeah, I don't know. We're just trying to keep it like diverse, and I'm trying to get more like musicians in there.
Yeah.
Whenever I can. I'd love to get Every Time I Die, if that ever happens, but
I feel like you of all people would be able to, you've got the Buffalo cred to do it. So
I just feel like they're the type of band that'd be like, nah. Like if you reached out to them, they'd just be like, nah.
But I mean, do you have a guest that you think maybe told you, I'm not going to say the best necessarily, but maybe that you were the most surprised by the conversation and what they told you?
God, a lot of them were really good. I don't know. Sean Clark was a big one because we did I think that was a 4-hour episode or something.
Oh, wow.
And he's the one that, I don't know if you know, did you listen to that one, Sean Clark?
I didn't listen to the Sean Clark one, no.
I think that's the second episode, yeah. And basically he's the guy that runs those Halloween conventions, like the big ones, like the anniversary ones. He's the one that got me all these autographs on his poster. I mean, it's because of him. And he like works with Norman Reedus. He's like his right-hand man when it comes to conventions. So he actually books like the clients for conventions and, gets them to sign autographs. So I don't know, just hearing his whole story was crazy. He started going to horror conventions in like the 80s. He just turned 50 the other day. So he's a lot older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like us, like me and my roommate.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting to see his perspective on the last like 25, 30 years in the industry.
I mean, I'm so glad that you've stepped out and done something a little different than maybe you're used to. I'm glad you were able to get all the equipment and do this, because it is a really fun show to watch, especially if you enjoy horror. So I would encourage anybody watching to check it out, because honestly, I think you're going to learn some stuff you definitely didn't know. Like if you think you're a horror fan, like I thought I was a horror fan before I listened to some of this stuff. And I was like, okay, I don't know any of this. So if you want an education, then, perfect podcast to listen to, because I think, you're doing a really good job with it. And
were you able to check out the Killer Clowns one?
I didn't listen to the Killer Clowns one. No.
Have you seen that movie yet?
I've seen Killer Clowns but I've never listened to any of the interviews you did with the cast or anything like that.
Yeah, that was the most recent one we did. I think that movie's on Netflix right now. So if you ever want to rewatch it, it's on there.
Yeah. Do you have, before we take off, do you have anything that you want to bring up really quick? Anything that you'd like to mention?
Just that I hope everybody's doing good. I'm coming back to Buffalo for the first time after an entire year.
Yes.
So that's going to be, I think, 3 weeks from today.
Awesome. Oh, so it's really, really soon. Actually,
no. Yeah. 3 weeks from today, I'm going to be in New York City, actually. Yes. I'm going all over the place. I'm going to Phoenix like next weekend. The weekend after that, I'm going to Vegas. Then like the week after that, I'm going to Buffalo for like 2 days. driving to New York City, coming back, and then spending like another week and a half in Buffalo.
Okay, good. So you are coming back to see your family and friends
Yeah.
and stuff. Good.
So, but we got our like plans all booked for that. But yeah, just planning on doing more podcasts. I want to do it more regularly. We obviously had a lot of like downtime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a couple conventions I'm going to, and just gonna get back to auditioning when it happens, and hope for the best. It looks like some things are opening up. I don't know
Yeah.
how it's like in your neck of the woods, but our malls just opened up.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is for us. I think we have similar situations as far as the precautions they're taking in public and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, Kellen, thank you so much for coming on, man.
yeah, for sure.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
I'm super excited for what you've got next, what comes next. We'll be
Yeah,
following your social media, following the podcast,
definitely.
and yeah, I wish you the very best in your future endeavors, man.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon.